Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Terrestrial Material, where we talk about the material us terrestrials are interested in. Another Sunday. It is what, April 21st, 1 o'clock. Here we are. All right, deal with the music. Deal with the music, Matt. All right, there it is. There it is. How you guys doing? Tim G, thanks for coming around, hanging out, saying what's up. John, good to see you. Cosmic Twilight, Rotary, Gebs, you know, the I call diehards. You guys are always seem to be here, and I really appreciate it, man. What a week, huh? I feel like I say that every Sunday. But, you know, listen, guys, I got to come up front here and tell you this. At the start of this week, I believe it was Kona Blue, all those documents that came out through AARO, right? They got dropped. I thought that was going to be like the biggest thing of the week. And if that was all that we were going to really be able to go over, and then maybe, you know, some of the SCIFF stuff that happened with the UAP Caucus and AARO, obviously they went into a SCIFF, I believe, on Tuesday, and kind of mixed reviews on what happened with it there. But there's some interesting stuff to go over there. And then, obviously, as everybody knows, it's been kind of the talk of the town here, this email drop between Mellon and Kirkpatrick going over David Grusch. And David Grusch's either, you know, lies. Some people are saying lies now. Some people are saying that he's still kind of vindicated for not talking to AARO. And I got to talk to this camera more. I keep wanting to look here and talk to you guys. Yeah, so the huge dump that came out with that. And who's been asking for these emails for months? I mean, I have. I think a lot of people have. So when we heard and we seen that we were going to get some of that, dude, that's awesome. You know, I wanted to be able to kind of get to the nitty gritty of what's happened with that. And it's here. There's enough here for me to make my opinion on what I think really went on between Grusch, AARO, and Kirkpatrick. Now, obviously, there's always room down the road for there to be new information. But I think I'm going to hang my hat on my decision with it, definitely for now. And we'll go over that here in a moment, because I think we're actually going to start with this. So to get all the YouTube stuff kind of out of the way, obviously like, share, subscribe, guys. It really does make a difference. Really appreciate the love. You guys have been showing, I should start with this. You guys have been showing a lot of love lately, man. Not just here, but Twitter and the shout outs and stuff, man. It's been very nice. People have been really kind, and I'm happy that, you know, maybe some people, a few of us out here are enjoying what I'm doing and enjoying my opinion. So yeah, man, you know, you guys make it worth it. You guys make this whole thing the reason to be here. So I kind of went back and forth before I switch over to the report, and we can kind of start breaking it down. I went back and forth a lot on it. You know, there's good information. There's a lot of, as we start to kind of read through it, the FOIA breakdown from Grusch and AARO and Kirkpatrick, there's so many like acronyms, and there's just, the wording is not like your everyday text conversation. I mean, these guys are smart. This really gives you kind of a good look at how these intelligence guys really talk. I was laughing to myself when I was reading it, and I was like, you know, this is kind of like Halo, you know, Halo intelligence community PvP, you know, like there's like a 1v1 going on versus Kirkpatrick, you know, and Mellon, and it is a back and forth. And I did laugh a little bit along the way, because it's just funny to hear these guys spar, because they do that. But I think the biggest takeaway that I want you guys to kind of pay attention to, because we notice a couple of instances of it through the FOIA, that there's like obvious bad blood between Kirkpatrick and Grusch. And as we'll go through it, you'll see that it stems from quite a long time ago, you know, almost a decade, that something has went on here. And this is the new thing that came out of these documents that we've wanted for so long, that I'm like, okay, now I got to get this answer. You know, I hope more information comes out. We get more text messages that will explain this bad blood. But without any further ado, let me make sure that this stuff is all around here. We'll pull up this right here first. Now, I want to start with, let's go over to our browser, huh? Hey, look, it works this week. How about that, huh? It worked with it. So this whole FOIA came out because of, obviously, John Greenwald Jr. You know, he's the FOIA king, and he continues to retain his crown, as we can all see. But the reason why I want to start with this is because this whole breakdown of these meetings, give me 1 second. Okay, I had to spare you guys a screech when I move my mic. I still haven't juiced it yet. Still haven't oiled it yet. And before I even start, look, guys, this is probably going to the show tonight. This is not going to be under an hour. This is probably going to go closer to 2 hours because we're going to look at this whole document, and then we're going to look at all of Kona Blue, and then we're going to touch on a little bit of the SCIFF, and then we'll do our SORA video and kind of see our way out. But this is going to have to be longer today. There's just no way around it. So if you can't sit the whole time, I understand. If you got to break it up into pieces, watch some of it later, hey, I'm not mad at you, brother. It's a long time. It's Sunday. But let's get right to it. This is the breakdown of kind of the back and forth initial engagement that happened between Grusch, AARO, and Kirkpatrick. So here we go. June 8th through the 13th, 2023. And Grusch, because this is important because Grusch claimed that he's never had any contact with AARO. Nobody's talked to him. He's never had any meetings set up. And as we go through this, we find that that's not really the case. But yeah, June 8th through the 13th, 2023. Initial contact was made by known associates of Grusch, urging them to have him speak with AARO, so, outside sources. These efforts were clarified during dialogues between AARO's director and individuals close to Grusch. June 26, 2023, AARO staff reached out directly for Grusch's contact details and extended an interview invitation, which Grusch declined. Very interesting. Okay, so there we go. They've reached out. This is what they're saying. June 28, 2023, after Grusch's congressional testimony, AARO sought any verifiable information he might have shared with Congress. July 27, 2023, further attempts to arrange an interview through another associate of Grusch who was meeting him the following day. And they go through some of the stuff in the emails that got leaked because in this whole FOIA drop, there was emails, there was signal messages, and there were a couple text messages. So it's kind of interesting to kind of go through this and see just how much. I was just asking for the emails. I couldn't believe we were going to get everything else with it too. October 6, 2023, a secure call was made to encourage Grusch to participate in a formal interview. So listen, there's a lot of people reaching out to him. It kind of seems like everybody's reaching out at this point in October. Because, this is after the hearing. He's like peak fame right now, October 6th. Everyone's trying to get this guy in here. So obviously he kind of succumbs to the pressure, as we'll read here going forward. November 10th, 2023, Grusch agreed to be interviewed on November 14th after congressional staff urged his cooperation. So there you go. Now he goes ahead and agrees. He's going to come in. He's going to have the meeting. All right. Now, November 14, 2023, Grusch failed to appear at the scheduled interview, expressing doubts about AARO's authorization to handle classified information. Well, let me ask you something. This is what's weird to me, okay? If you had those doubts on November 14th, David, why didn't you address that on the 10th or even the 11th or the 12th or the 13th? Why are you now coming out with the excuse after you didn't show up? That doesn't look good, guys. That don't look good. And, I got to hold him to the same scrutiny as I do with Bob Lazar because I don't want to be a hypocrite. If you don't show up, I can't give you the credit. It doesn't mean that Grusch is lying about everything he's talking about, but I can't give you the same credit. I got to be fair here. I think that's just what's fair. Now, now he has room still later on to come aboard, but I'm just saying right now, come on, man. We gotta figure out what's really going on here. That's what this is all about. November 14th, 2023. Oh, okay, we got to that. November 19th, 2023, AARO contacted Grusch again, reiterating their authorization and inviting him to discuss his claims, which he declined. Now, January 8th, boy, they've been, listen, they've been persistent. No doubt about it. How many months has this been, right? Oh, I'm moving my lower third. See, I'm reading from the OBS window, and so I'm grabbing the wrong one. Yes, this is a lower third image. This is not real, ladies and gentlemen. Let me put that thing back here. Boy, oh boy. Can we get professional over here already? So June, July, August, September, October. Months. And we're just not getting it. So I wanted to kind of go over this. Now we got this thing here. Hold on. Let me F11 this here. Okay. So I thought it was important to kind of go over this to start with, just to give you guys a good idea of that there's been contact. And not only that there's been contact, but, you kind of, it allows you to look at the rest of what we're going to talk about with this FOIA with maybe a clearer vision. Because if you don't look at it that way, what I found is I was reading through it the first time, and I had to go through it a lot of times. I mean, like I said, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, and this is a lot of real heavy government speak, and there's a lot of acronyms like we talked about. But it does help to kind of start with your base right there. So I do like how John started with it, with that whole breakdown of it. And it's just easier to read the way you had it laid out. And now I have a link to this, obviously, in the description. You can go to the Black Vault. All credit goes to him. Take a look at these documents for yourself because they're long. Well, there's the plug right there. There you go, John. There's your plug. It's long, dude. And there's only so much that we're going to be able to go over today to try to make room for everything else. All right. Now, as this is what we actually just read right here, but he made it a little bit easier to read. Let's scroll down. Because there are 29 total pages to this. And God, this gets a little blurry, huh? Looking on the other monitor here. Let me move this over. Okay. So we're going to go through these. These are the signal messages between Chris Mellon and Sean Kirkpatrick. Now, the gray box, the gray bubbles that you're seeing here, these are going to be Chris Mellon. The blue bubbles are going to be Sean Kirkpatrick. And I want to zoom in a little bit more, man. I can't lie, because I want to read off the screen in front of me. I don't want to read off the side screen. And this is already a tough read for anybody. So let's go with it here. June 11th, we start off, and he says thanks. He says thanks to something, but if you look up top here, if you guys can see my cursor, it's kind of blurred out, so we don't have whatever this message was before the thanks. So we really don't know what he's thanking about. And I guess I should address this off the top too, that a lot of people were kind of questioning, how are we getting signal messages from a FOIA or even text messages from a FOIA? So what I'm assuming is that this is, and I've heard other people talk about this too. This isn't me just me making this up, but it seems like it makes sense. This must be from Sean Kirkpatrick's government issued cell phone. So if it's from his government issued phone, yeah, you're going to be able to get a hold of this kind of stuff. So let's start at the top here. I highlighted this area, and you'll notice as we go through this, there's highlights that are the things we really kind of want to take a look at. So Grusch has made claims that he's contacted us and we've never responded. That's just not true. He also made claims that we don't have access to investigate his claims. That's also not true. Now, I have to agree with Kirkpatrick on both of these. I think that they do have the clearance to talk to him about it, and I'm gonna give you my reasons for that as we continue to go on. And just so everybody's clear, I have my issues with Kirkpatrick. I do. I have my issues with AARO, but it's really tough if you want to be fair to try to argue documents in front of you, right? When you get documents that are making some sense in front of you, you kind of got to tip the hat and kind of go with what you're seeing here on this. He says, if I recall correctly, you indicated he refused to come talk to us, and you quoted as suggesting as such. I'd suggest you emphasize the need to come speak with us. You have the contact email. Okay? So he's saying, you got the email, man. Let him know. And then here comes Kirkpatrick or Mellon back. Hi, Sean. Do you have a specific example of Dave claiming he's contacted AARO in your office, refused to respond? That sounds strange, as during a conversation yesterday, he told me AARO was not lawfully designated recipient of his whistleblower info, hence his reason for not contacting AARO. I also do not recall saying Dave refused to come talk to AARO. I certainly did not do so in the debrief article or my article in Politico, and I've done no interviews yet about Dave. Yeah, I don't think he has. I don't remember Mellon doing anything really specific talking about him, which is interesting enough. But this kind of starts this little back and forth with them that's pretty interesting. So now Kirkpatrick is going to respond. It was on the interview Sunday. Pentagon is preparing a response. His assertion that we aren't lawfully empowered is clearly incongruous with the law. Incongruous meaning, not lining up, not congruent. I'll be happy to check on that. Contrary to press reports, Dave still retains his attorney, who is a former NSA and ICIG. Chuck should know if anyone does. So that's who he's saying. Dave still retains his attorney, who is a former intelligence community inspector general. Not exactly a lightweight, ladies and gentlemen, right? Not exactly a lightweight, which is interesting, which I didn't even know that. I didn't know he had an attorney that was a former ICIG. So I hope you guys are learning right along with me here, because there's a lot to know. So it drops down again. Here's Kirkpatrick. There is a significant misconception between the authorities in question. The Title 50 authorities, we done. Now, I think he means we don't. So I make those spelling errors too from time to time, and so does he. But he says the Title 50 authorities we don't have are for CI purposes. Now, if I'm correct, CI is standing for counterintelligence purposes. I could be wrong on that, but that's my take. Not taking in information, which gives us a little bit more of a view of like what, because like everyone's had this argument with AARO, like do they have Title 50? What does that include? And he's saying the Title 50 authorities that they don't have, which supposedly they don't have a couple, even this is coming from him now, is for counterintelligence, but it's not about taking information. These whistleblowers, Grusch, these guys can come in and talk. It's very interesting. The law is very clear about that, and if he has a concern, he should have his attorney discuss with OGC. And I believe OGC is Office of General Counsel. So attorneys for, I'm assuming, AARO or just the General Counsel. I'm not an expert on a lot of this little minute stuff, so bear with me. I'm just giving you my opinion. We have many people come share appropriately the information they have from various places. Chuck is wrong if that's his advice. Dude, he's saying, hey, your IG guy, he's wrong. dude, he's coming at him, huh? I'll be happy to raise with Dave and get back to you. And then we jump down to Kirkpatrick. So I know it's kind of hard because we're just reading these text messages. So if nothing else, he needs to contact us and we'll introduce his attorney to the Office of General Counsel. So he's just saying, look, they need to look out if he has these issues. If Grusch doesn't feel we have these clearances or we don't have the authorities, well, then he needs to come talk to us about it. You know, we'll get him in touch with the people that he wants to talk to. Let's hear it. And Mellon, of course, responds with, I'll reach out to him today. And he says, I spoke with Dave, and his first question was, why, and this is a quote, why hadn't AARO gotten all the info from the ICIG? It is all there and fully documented to include confirmation the program is real from active, cleared insiders. Pretty interesting. And because these are screenshots that they took from FOIA, there's going to be some doubling of the conversation. So we're going to have to kind of jump down and pick up a little bit further down the page, all right? Now, this is Kirkpatrick's response. Department of Justice has to release it since it's part of a criminal investigation. They haven't yet. So he's saying, look, I want the ICIG complaint, but it's part of a criminal investigation. So I don't have it. He needs to come tell us separate from his criminal complaint. So he's saying, look, I can't get it. Once again, here's yet again another reason of why Kirkpatrick is saying, Grusch, you need to come in and verify what's going on. So he's saying, hey, look, let's get him. Now, Mellon replies, he obviously doesn't have to do so. It's just like, can you imagine? I have to stop real quick. Can you imagine Mellon getting that text message and he reads it and he has to come tell us separate. And he's like, this guy, he obviously doesn't have to do so. And he even said, how do I know? And this is important for the bad blood that we're talking about here. This is big. Mellon quotes Grusch, how do I know Sean Kirkpatrick is not a target of the ongoing criminal investigation? Interesting. Dude, and when I read this, I don't take it as Grusch being like serious. I don't get that from the message. I feel like that's Grusch going through Mellon to kind of poke a little bit. Or it could be Mellon kind of manipulating that quote and poking a little bit, because Mellon does seem to be Grusch's handler for a lot of this stuff. I remember, Grusch was supposed to talk to, I think, Dark Journalist, and Mellon kind of shut that down. And then Mellon, I think, set up some meeting or some, what do you want to call it, presentation that Grusch went to for a lot of these billionaires or millionaires and stuff like that. So he kind of seems to be this mediary for him. So he could have tweaked it, but if he didn't tweak it, and there's quotes, so I kind of am assuming that he didn't, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I am starting to see more of more signs of bad blood, that there's something that's went on here with this, okay? Now, however, that being said, I explained your request regarding having his attorney contact OGC and suggested he do so to show full cooperation. He said that if you can provide OGC's contact info, he'll pass it to his attorney. By the way, he also said his claim about contacting you dates to conversations the two of you had many months ago on a Tandberg system, which from what I've been kind of hearing the rumblings about, is that the Tandberg system is another maybe secure platform that these guys talk to each other on. And how you doing, Jeff Garvey? Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for coming, dude. So there's obviously more conversations that would be interesting to find and hear what they were talking about even back then, and that you didn't follow up after that call. I'm not trying to adjudicate the issue. I'm just telling you what he said. Apparently that is what his statement was referring to. So if you can provide an OGC email or phone number, I'll get that to Dave right away, and hopefully his attorney will promptly contact OGC. Hopefully. Man, I would assume if you're David Grusch and people are, slinging mud or not believing you, I'm sure you'd want to get a hold of that pretty fast to kind of clear that air, right? And look at how Mellon messages, man. Mellon, if you watch his tweets too, he writes in just novels, paragraphs on paragraphs of conversation. He loves it. Dude, I don't think I've ever written a text that long in my entire life. Maybe an email or two, but a text message like that. See, if I had a text message like that, I would just call the person. Dude, that's too much. I can't be bothered. All right. So Kirkpatrick says all of that is both absurd and false. Huh. And this is interesting. I have had a conversation with him for years. So I think once again, there's a typo here. I haven't, as I think he meant. Now, this is what I'm assuming. I haven't had a conversation with him for years. Once again, we're kind of hinting back at a prior relationship before Grusch came out. These guys knew each other. Very interesting. If he wants this brought out and investigated, then yes, he obviously does have to. His continued refusal to speak with us only hurts his case, which I agree, man. It definitely doesn't help. I mean, even if you think that, even if you don't like what AARO's doing or you don't trust AARO, I still think that you should go talk to them, because when you go tell them their story, as we've seen with the first report that came out, the AARO report, volume 1, they are going to talk about what you've said. They're going to make their response to it. And if you can get their response, and if you feel that response is wrong, and that then you can come forward with your facts again, maybe a bit more openly, you can say, no, that's not what I said. Or you can show in the post of those reports that they're playing games. So you should go, because you can always try to correct the record yourself later on. And you might expose a little bit of the, maybe unscrupulous nature that AARO could be participating in with this entire process. It only hurts his case. So I agree. I think it does. It only hurts Grusch to not go in there. I've contacted Congressional OGC to reach out to him so they can explain the law. Haven't had a conversation for years. Our statement will simply be that he refused to speak with AARO. Dude, this guy. Our statement's going to be, he didn't speak with us. How about that? It's like you have Mellon up top here. He obviously doesn't have to, and he's our statement simply. These guys, man. This is wild sometimes, man. Okay, so let me see. Okay, sounds good. Happy to help when I can. Don't hesitate to kick my tires if I'm off base on something. Yeah, Mellon loves to be involved. He's always looking for his tires to get kicked. By the way, there isn't a congressional OGC as such, and this is where this gets really kind of sparry right here between them. By the way, there isn't a congressional OGC as such. Kirkpatrick says, there are congressional lawyers that get law. Dude, do you see the Halo 3? One guy picks up the rocket launcher, the other guy's got the sniper rifle, the power weapon, and they're just on Blood Gulch, on the two spots in Blood Gulch from back in the day, and they're just shooting across at each other, man. They're going at it. To be clear, whom should Dave expect to hear if you cannot provide a POC at DOD? Vet law. This is a little bit off for me. I didn't understand what happened with this vet law thing. But he says vet law, the Hill OGC generally advise members only. Okay. They advise their employees, not members of the public. So I guess he's saying, look, Grusch is a member of the public. That's how I took that. And Kirkpatrick says it's either a lawyer at the Hill or a lawyer in DOD. Where am I sending them? Who am I sending them to? Either the law is the law, or we can scrub having anyone else come see AARO. Dude, they're going at it, brother. You can't tell Chuck to go to various committees on the Hill. It needs to be someone who represents AARO in the executive branch. There are a dozen of the Hill committees with majority and minority counsel who may not even agree. Kirkpatrick says, depends on how badly people want this sorted. Send me Chuck's contact info. So he's like, look, just send me the stuff, man. Let's get this thing going. And Mellon says, not without his permission, obviously. How about I relay your contact info here to Chuck? Why don't you give me the stuff? This will get sorted, or of that I have no doubt. It's only a matter of how quickly and by whom. This is a lot of talk, man, right? These guys are just going back and forth. They like talking to each other, I think. I think Mellon and Kirkpatrick got a little bromance going on here a little bit behind the scenes. And Kirkpatrick says, I'm not giving my contact info out given the harassment and threats. That's why we have a secure mechanism. Damn, dude. Damn. Look, there's, as you guys know, I don't have to bring it up. There is a lot of back and forth in this community. And there's a lot of drama that goes on. You know, there's a lot of people doxing and there's trouble. So I don't blame him, man. I don't blame him for not wanting to give his contact info out. You know, there's a lot of rumors of that going on. And I have highlighted here, and yes, you are defending and educating, and you're undermining the very organization you purported to help establish for this purpose. Yeah, he's saying, look, man, I don't have to give my info out. You know, these people got to come to us. The whole part, the big reason why we have this whole process is so that they can come in here and feel safe and talk to us, and we don't have to keep playing this game of telephone. We're trying to get around the game of telephone. I can't argue that. Do I believe everything AARO is saying with their reports? No. But can I argue stuff like this? No, you can't. You know, this is why I keep saying, guys, don't pick a team. Just look at the information that's in front of you and come to your own conclusion. You know, facts are facts, and it's very interesting. And Kirkpatrick says, really odd. I try to bring everyone to AARO I can. Now he's going on defense mode here because he feels attacked. So he's going to be like, I try to bring everyone I can. I'm trying to help put Dave in touch with your GC, General Counsel. If you can provide simple contact info, I'm not judging the claims between you and Dave and have not claimed his claims are accurate. So he's once again pressing Kirkpatrick again, saying, hey, look, send me the info. Send me the info. Which, you know, I think Tupa and Red on Skyfire News made a really good, when they went over this, shout out to them, when they went over this on their show earlier in the week, I think they made a really good point about this spot. I want to give them credit because this is where I really noticed this. It is strange that Mellon is once again pressing Kirkpatrick to get the information. If you're not looking to adjudicate this, Mellon, if you're not looking to get into this thing, defend it, why are you pressing that again? If I was Mellon and I didn't feel that way, I would have took, I'm not giving you my contact info from the harassment. I just would have let it go. Right? Why would you continue to press it? Very strange. He said, I've said he is sincere. Oh, now this is the other part that's interesting. Let me get my place back here. I'm not judging the claims between you and Dave, and I have not claimed his claims are accurate, which is interesting enough to get a view on that. Kind of behind the scenes, because I don't think Mellon thought this stuff was ever going to come out. But I've said he is sincere and credible, and his and other claims, which I expressly called allegations, warrant investigation. I have no idea what you or Dave discussed or when, and I'm not taking a position on that or even the underlying claim of recovered materials. So I'm kind. And it's that right there. We'd have, it says read more, so we don't have any more of that because obviously this is an image, which this is interesting, man. So he's kind of saying, look, we got to see what ends up happening once you guys talk to each other. I'm not saying that everything that Grusch says is true. So it goes down in the DM, boys, huh? Because I'll be honest, I don't know if you would get Mellon to say that in person. I don't know if he would. Like if he was on a news report or being interviewed. Very interesting. I think this jumps down a little bit. Yeah, so it doubles up right here. And I highlighted this again just in case I missed it. And I think we're actually getting close to the bottom of these messages, guys, but this is important stuff. I mean, we've been asking for this stuff. So Mellon continues, okay? Dave can now say, Sean has refused to provide me or my attorney the contact information that would allow us to discuss legal concerns we have with providing testimony to AARO. So you're not defending or adjudicating, but you're going to fire back at what Kirkpatrick said. Kirkpatrick says, I'm just going to say you didn't talk to us. And Sean and Mellon goes, well, I'm just going to say, Sean can just say, there was nothing there. Or Grusch can just say, didn't provide anything. So it's very interesting, man. They're kind of going back and forth. I'm not your enemy, and I'm not saying this to provoke or irritate you. Yes, you are. By the way, Mellon, look, anybody who's read text messages before, dude, you definitely are. They're definitely shots. Moreover, having once been in similar jobs, I recognize you have a big pile of work and responsibility on your plate. This is him trying to kind of maybe, he takes a little shot, but then he tries to come in and smooge it a little bit by saying, look, I'm going to take this shot at you, but I recognize you got a lot on your plate. You got a lot of responsibility. I'm with you. I don't want to see the bad, I don't want to see you bothered. So he's trying to smooge it. He's trying to, juice him up a little bit. I only mention this because it seems you must have some legal representation, and assuming that they are competent, I'm sure that they probably are, Mellon. It seems to me a discussion it would help to get Dave's testimony into your system. That it seems to me should be a win for all. Well, of course. And then Kirkpatrick finally just goes, look, I've asked the OGC for contact information. He says, great, waiting to hear back. Okay. How many more of these windows have we got? Okay, so we only got this one, these last two, and there's a big point here on the last one. Okay. So he says, waiting to hear back. So we jump down to, I will be happy to provide that to Dave and Chuck if you like. I think you have a fascinating and important job, and I want nothing more than to see the process work. Please don't think I'm out to make your job harder. Well, no, you're not really, maybe not even trying to make it harder, but you're definitely, adding yet again another party into the mix. If this was Fortnite, Mellon is third partying, it's like we got a build battle going on. And then all of a sudden Mellon comes in, cranks a 90 and jumps over the top and starts dropping grenades. So he's third party in this gig. If you're a video game player at all with the BR genre, you get that. Actually, he probably can. Oh, wait, hold on a second. Where am I at here? Yeah, please don't think I'm out to make your job harder. So, and then Kirkpatrick responds, actually, Dave can't say any such thing since he hasn't asked me for anything, only you. Boom. Kind of a big quote right there. And now, once again, let's go back to the guy who's not adjudicating and not defending Grusch, who's not trying to get in the way. Let's see what that guy has to say. Actually, he probably can and might. But that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter. But then why'd you say it if it didn't matter, Mellon? I have no specific reason to believe he will, and I am not proposing that to him. My cat right now is trying to bite my ankle. Go away, cat. Go away. Just trying to close the loop and move things toward a good outcome. Thanks. Yeah. You already said that, Mellon. Okay. You already said that. And this kind of doubles up. But this was an important note right here, as you guys will try to see this in red. I'm going to try to circle it here. Maybe I can even zoom in just a little bit. I'm at 250% right now on the zoom here. It's going to get real blurry. Let's take it to 500. Enhance. Okay. So if you can read this, I'm not sure that if you can or not. John P. Adventures, good to see you. Paula Faust, thank you for coming. Appreciate you in the chat here. This in Signal, it says, you set disappearing messages time to 1 week. This is something that we started to hear a little bit more about as the week went on. And I'm not sure who first noticed this, but this is an issue. It's an issue. And it's an issue because this is supposedly, for what we know, government phone government business conversation, signal or not. They're still talking about this situation. And there are actually, let me flip over here. I want to go right to the tweet from John Greenwald here, because this is actually pretty interesting here. Right here. Bear with me. I always got to zoom this stuff. Zoom her up here. Where was it at? Now I lose it? No, okay, here it is. So John Greenwald says on April 19th, a couple of days ago, I'm surprised that some people demanding U.S. government transparency are appalled to see the text messages to me through FOIA, yet say nothing about Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick later setting it so messages will disappear. That should be the controversy yet in the cricket emoji, which I like the use of the emoji there. John, I'll give you credit on that. I don't know. This guy says, what's the controversy? But he kind of answers the question here. John Greenwald says, it goes against set DOD record retention schedules. Did he back them all up prior to the week? Maybe. Did he? Really, though? Probably not. I wonder, man. I wonder. I hope that he did. I hope that Kirkpatrick did back all that stuff up, because if he did, then there's a lot more information that we can get. We can glean a lot more what probably went on with these guys. But yeah, that's no bueno. I know that was a big complaint about, what's his name? Elizondo. All his emails got deleted, and they got deleted early, and that was a big point of contention with Lou. So yeah, I don't know why we're doing that. I don't know why we're leaking that. Now this was there was just a couple of text messages, which, let me see, the blue and the gray. Now these ones, I'm not exactly sure who is talking in these. I don't believe that it's even Kirkpatrick and Mellon. I think these are two different people. But this one says, and this is what was on the thumbnail, do you have, and the date kind of covers it up here a little bit, but I'm trying to look at the bottom of these letters to kind of see what those words may be. It says, do you have a phone number and or email for David Grusch? I would like to invite him for an interview. So this is another one on June 26th here, another attempt. They're trying to get a hold of this guy, clearly. I don't really think that you can argue that AARO has been trying to reach out to them. Reach out to Grusch. I really don't think that you can. There's just too much here that shows that that's went on. Now, and the response here is, yeah, but let me ask him first. He has bad blood with Sean going back to 2015. Wow. Hasn't even really, I mean, I know we don't have the answer to this, but I haven't heard people this week really bring this up. And I think this is probably one of the biggest bombshells out of this entire FOIA drop from Greenwald. There's bad blood since 2015. What do these guys know about each other? And it says, sounds like a plan. Thank you. And this is the other text message that it drops down to. And it says, dang it, exclamation point. Dave will only say that Sean knows how to contact him. So he's like, listen, he knows how to get at me if he wants to get at me, There really is bad blood with Sean from Dave's perspective. Now, I thought that was interesting too. So it's from Dave's perspective. But let's be honest. If there's bad blood, it's usually between both. Like, both people have some kind of a role that's involved. So it'll be interesting to see over time what gets dug up about this. I don't know if Kirkpatrick is going to comment on it, or Mellon, or even David Grusch will. But God, I hope somebody does, because that might even give us a bigger picture of why Grusch is being so avoided, or his avoidance for AARO and especially Kirkpatrick, in my opinion, his avoidance. Come to your own. Your mileage may vary here. Interesting response. Well, thanks for checking. Much appreciated. And, we got the little FOIA exemption that goes on here. There's some more of these. Oh, God, are there more of these? God, dude, I'm forgetting now. What are we at? We're at 40 minutes already today, guys. Holy. Okay, here's the thing. Just for time's sake, the link is in the description. We'll go over the last couple of things in this document, because at least at the first hour, I want to switch over to Kona Blue. So I want to switch in like 18 minutes, 19 minutes, because there's a little bit we got to go over there with it too. we'll read this one. Grusch has made claims that he's contacted us and we've never responded. Oh, wait, that was just not true. So this was expanded. There was one message that was expanded from the beginning. It says, I will, but why don't you call him or text him? And this is Mellon saying to Kirkpatrick, why don't you get a hold of him? And if you look up here, Grusch is saying Dave will only say that Sean knows how to contact him. So he's saying, why won't you? And then Kirkpatrick responds with, I don't have contact info and I can only contact him through the secure mechanism. So I'll need an email. Further, Mellon is stating that he spoke with him and Grusch states, oh wait, no, is this, oh no, excuse me. I take this back. I got to retract. Is this, let me double check this. Let me read this again. I will, but I don't have contact info. I don't know if this is actually, is this still Kirkpatrick and Mellon? I thought that it was. Grusch has made claims. Oh, excuse me. This is Kirkpatrick and someone else at AARO. It is Kirkpatrick still in the blue bubbles. I misspoke though. It's not Mellon. That's correct. So this is Kirkpatrick speaking to someone else in AARO. Grusch made the claims, blah, 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 blah. And, the person at AARO, whoever it is, I will, but I don't have, but why don't you call or text him? And Kirkpatrick says, I don't have contact info and I can only contact through the secure mechanism. So I need an email. Further, Mellon is stating that he spoke with him and Grusch states that AARO is not a lawfully empowering org to receive his information. And this guy goes shaking my head. I'll reach out and try to reach Grusch this week, as well as requesting an email. It's really a perfect example of why we need AARO. Yeah. I mean, you kind of want to get through a lot of this stuff. And then this I highlighted here. It's hard to remember exactly why I highlighted everything, guys. There's like 100 pages of stuff today for today's episode, man. It's packed, man. It is absolutely packed. What is Rubio talking about? Kirkpatrick asks, and someone at AARO says he's referring to previous witnesses that provided testimony regarding the CR program. I believe that's crash retrieval program. Those witnesses will not go to AARO. They were asked to. Very interesting. And he says, do we have notes from their testimony? Are there program names, owners, anything I can verify? And the guy says, I can review when back in office, on vacation a few more days. While you're on vacation, you're still getting signal messages from Kirkpatrick, huh? Not much of a vacation, if you ask me. Listen, Sean, no matter who I'm working for, I don't want these messages on my vacation. You know what I'm saying? He says, thanks. Still need those alleged program names. I'll talk to leadership and get back. So there's more of this that's here for you guys, okay? There's some more text messages you want to go through. Unfortunately, for the absence of time, we can't go anything. I'm probably going to need 15 minutes to read this last little bit here. So let me see this here. This is an email. I was looking up top here to see if they had. Sometimes they take away the to and from on these messages. It's annoying because I wish we could get a little bit more information where this is going. Mr. Grusch, during our conversation, this must be an email here. During our conversation on November 10th, 2023, we discussed your comfort level with relaying sensitive information to AARO and the possibility of AARO obtaining a memo from CAPCO that clearly states that AARO can receive CAP information similar to the SAPCO memo I provided you. Attached is that memo from the ODNI CAPCO. Again, and this is a big part here, guys, of why I feel the way I do about Grusch right now with this situation. Again, I want to reiterate that in accordance with the James M. Inhofe National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2023, AARO is authorized to receive any information related to UAP regardless of classification and notwithstanding any non-disclosure agreement you may have signed. Our invitation to discuss possible U.S. government programs, events, or activities related to UAP still stands. Have a good afternoon. Hey, man, we gave you the stuff. Have a good afternoon. So let's take a look at this, huh? Let's see. Is this person telling the truth? Okay. He's saying, look, I sent you the CAPCO stuff. I sent you the SAPCO stuff. Let's take a look. We got to go down to the bottom here to actually take a look. Okay. Here is very interesting material, boys. This is terrestrial material. Terrestrial material. As you can see highlighted, CAPCO, authorization to provide information to personal to personnel representing the All-Domain AARO, Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence Security, OUSDI, INS. Representatives of the All-Domain AARO, or I'm just going to say AARO, it's so much of a mouthful there, are authorized to speak to person or persons. Let's zoom in just a little bit more, because if I can barely read that, you guys probably can barely read it too. And this is kind of the big enchilada of this entire FOIA here. Representatives of AARO are authorized to speak to persons and conduct interviews of persons that currently have or previously had access to sensitive U.S. government information, activities, and or materials. Individuals with current and previous access to UAP-related or presumed relevant information, which is subject to USG non-disclosure agreement. Once again, U.S. government non-disclosure agreement, are authorized to provide this otherwise protected information to AARO representatives, period. Okay, that's from CAPCO. So that's one of the two areas that Grusch was talking about, and he made mentions of, do they have the real proof of what's going on? So CAPCO, check. Now let's look at SAPCO. And CAPCO is, I should probably explain that. That is the Controlled Access Program Coordination Office. Okay, so these guys are talking about, you know, the access programs, controlled access programs. So these are the guys. These are the guys that have access to these programs. And then SAPCO, which is Special Access Program Central Office. Okay, so for the special access programs, same idea here. This is SAPCO. Authorization to provide information to personnel representing the All-Domain Resolution Office, AARO, Secretary of Defense, OUSDI. Representatives of the AARO are authorized to speak to persons. You guys get it. Number two, individuals with current or previous access to UAP-related information, which is subject to USG non-disclosure agreement. They have the operation too. Okay, so they can do it. Plane landed, joke landed. This is signed by David W. Abba. This is Major General of the U.S. Air Force, Director, DoD Special Access Programs, Central Office, SAPCO. And what I thought was fun as well, because why not? Because we can. Who is David Abba? I don't want to go into a giant thing about him, but sometimes it's fun to to put a face to the name, right? My scroll wheel. You guys, every episode, hear me furiously scroll down to try to get to my stuff here. So at some point, there's got to be like an emoji of like a scroll wheel that's scrolling. So every time I do it and you guys hear it, people in the chat just start putting a scroll wheel. But here he is. This is the guy. This is the guy that wrote that, okay? Meet, and John Grill puts, and man, John's like popular in this episode today. Meet Major General David W. Abba, Director of SAPCO. Today he's giving Tim Phillips, DoD's AARO, a classified briefing on the UAP to the UAP Caucus. Now this is interesting too, because it ties also into the SCIFF that Congress did, or the UAP Caucus did on Tuesday, which I believe it was Tuesday. This is the guy that was in there. Which way is it? Which way am I pointing? This way? Okay, this is the dude. So there you go. Face to the name. Interesting enough. So we have that. So we're not just, listen, we're not, I'm trying not to talk out of my ass here, guys. You know, I'm spending the time here. I'm trying to dig at this stuff so that when I come to you, I'm not wasting your time. I mean, it's important. You guys are here for 45, 50 minutes of your life so far. If you're going to stay along, I might as well, you know, try not to make it a waste as best I can. Okay, so this section I think is really important, and then we're going to move on because we've got 10 minutes left on this FOIA and before we go to Kona Blue. So this says, this is a email from redacted, unfortunately, but we know it's to Kirkpatrick and David Kosnek, OUSDI, subject David Grusch. Sean, Grusch confirmed to me that he does not intend to avail himself of the AARO safe harbor process to tell you what he spent many hours telling the DoD IG, Department of Defense Inspector General, or the ICIG, which is the Intelligence Community Inspector General, and the two intelligence committees about UAP. He has reported through media in recent days that he was not able to share some of the information he has with the two intelligence committees because they lacked the program accesses. Assuming accurate media reporting, that means that he has told either both DoD or ICIG, so both the DoD IG or the ICIG, about one or more SAPs, special access programs, that the intel committees are not access to. The armed service committees are not allowed to process rules to interview Grusch about any of this because the IC whistleblower process is tightly controlled by the intel committees. What this means, this is why I highlight this stuff, because not only does this guy give us the stuff, but he's going to explain it. What this means is that the DOD ICIGs know something from Grusch that Congress as a whole is not aware of. Interesting. That is a reason for you to go to the IGs and ask for access as they deem appropriate. And I think that's referencing kind of what they were talking about up there before with Signal. It's like they don't have the access to that report that David Grusch put in. So he's saying, look, even though you don't have access, you should go ask, right? You should still try to, maybe they can give you something that's redacted, right? If waived programs are involved, there would need to be a way for you to convey this to our staff directors. But there is also just a basic reason for you to try to get all the information that Grusch has provided the IGs. Yeah, saying, hey, look, it's going to be hard, man. These are locked up tight, these processes. But what's the harm in asking? All they can do is tell you no. But what if they don't? What if they give you a little bit more? So this email kind of chain continues up here that I think is pretty interesting. This is another redacted... this is from David Kosnick, OUSDI, and this is to Kirkpatrick and a couple other people, but redacted. So weighing in, David wants to weigh in here. There's no way in heck that the DOD and the ICIG will give any third-party raw information ever. IG investigations are a black box for a reason. The best Sean will get from them is a filtered report that the IG releases to everyone. So yeah, ask for it. If they redact it, they filter it down. That might be the best you're going to get. So bottom line, best COA, which I believe is course of action. So best course of action is still for Mr. Grusch to speak to AARO per their confidential process. He's saying, look, you got to go. The best course of action is for Grusch to come in and talk. The one Congress directed in law. If Grusch doesn't come in, David fears here, the best assessment you will ever get from AARO is a reflection of a reflection. FYI, Sean won't have an access problem, i.e., he has no SAP cap restrictions. It's just the IG divide. These are what these guys are saying behind the scenes. It's incredible. This is the stuff. This is what makes me believe that AARO had the accesses. Now, what they did with that information and how they portrayed that information to us in those reports, that's a whole different story. But I think what I wanted from these emails was to not only get a glimpse at what really happened here with Grusch. I have to reiterate this. But I wanted to understand a little bit more behind the scenes of how these guys were conversing. What's going on? How much of AARO can we trust? How much can we not? We got to take a look behind the curtain. This FOIA drop has been incredible. Incredible, okay? Of course, if he did speak to intel committees, they could always, I'm reading this again, guys, okay? Of course, if he did speak to intel committees, they could have always provided their transcript/notes to Sean for his review. My 2 cents. My 2 cents. Interesting. Okay, so let's get the response here. What was this? What was this one here? This guy, I didn't highlight this one because this guy's just like, yeah, I agree. Really helpful, Dave. So it wasn't really that important. But this next one is from, I believe, Kirkpatrick. Yeah, so Kirkpatrick responds. And yeah, this is the same email, right? Yeah, okay. So he responds and he says to all, like this is to everybody that's on this email chain. Okay. I did speak with the Department of Defense Inspector General. They went on my behalf to the ICG to request the classified transcript. Why? So he's saying, look, I went to DOD-IG first, which makes sense. DOD program, he goes there first. He says, then they went to the ICG for him. Okay? So he didn't go to ICG. You went on by behalf to the ICG to request the classified transcript. So whatever they can give him. Because Grusch gave nothing to the DOD-IG and claimed the same thing he told you, that it was IC compartmented information and they couldn't have it. The ICIG declined to, I think it's acquiesce acquiesce to my request. I'm probably not reading that word right, Jesus. But it's besides the point. I'm fairly confident I know what compartments he's referring to because I did my job, but I cannot confirm 100% if he doesn't come see me. As DK, which is David, what was his name? What was his last name? As David Kosnick, DK points out, these guys use abbreviations, by the way, as you can see, for everything. Everything is abbreviated. You got to look this up. As DK points out, the SSCI, and I think that's select. Oh God, I had it. I'm trying to remember it now. CI could give me the transcript. The Senate Select Committee of Intelligence. I'm sorry, that's SSCI. Senate Select Committee on Intelligence could give me the transcript, Sean. So, and the reason why I bring this up is, look even behind the scenes. Kirkpatrick is saying, I think I know what he's talking about. I think I know the compartments he's referring to, but I can't confirm it. So even behind the scenes, he's not being extraordinarily biased. Not in my opinion. He's not being extraordinarily biased. I would expect, to be honest, that he would have been a bit more biased in some of this stuff. So I'm a little surprised. You got to give credit where it's due. You got to give points, man. You can't not. What do we have? 57 minutes. Okay, so this just kind of goes over a little bit more. He didn't have access to IC cap. Actually, no. This is important. I don't want to actually skip this, but this is the last thing I'm going to go over on this report, guys. Okay. This email from Sean Kirkpatrick to, once again, David Kosnick. These guys are pretty close, huh? Let me expand a bit. I know everything he was briefed to. He's talking about Grusch. I know everything he was briefed to and had access to, and have far greater access. So he's saying I can go over him. He did not have access to some of the DoD SAP that the IC didn't have. And if he did, he could have told you. Similarly, he didn't have access to some IC cap that couldn't be shared. If Grusch, I'm just going to say Grusch for he, if Grusch found some program, he wouldn't know whose it was unless he had super user access. Now, the super user access thing is pretty interesting. I'm not exactly sure what that's referring to. I've heard rumor that's just like, if you have that access, man, you kind of got the keys to the kingdom. You can really look around and kind of mostly get what you want out of it. And I can't remember, there was somebody in his space that was talking about how David Grusch, since he was an advisor to the, now I'm going to blank on it, but he advised like the presidential briefings, right? Or something along that lines. You guys can probably correct me on that. But that, since he had access to like that and worked on that he might have actually had super user access. And so he says super user access, or someone who did helped him look it up. So he's saying either Grusch had the access like this, or he knows somebody that helped him look it up. Now he says he didn't. Therefore, he can't make the argument that whatever he found, quote unquote, couldn't be shared. So he's just saying, look, unless he really had the full key super user here, he can't even claim that he found something. He can't even claim that it was missing. He found what was missing. If he or others thought it was an illegal program, and he makes a good point here, okay? If he or others thought it was an illegal program, then again, he can't make the argument that it couldn't be shared with either the DoD or the IC committees based on his assertion they didn't have clearances. It sounds very much like playing the two halves against the middle to hide something. So he's saying, look, man, if the stuff's illegal, it's illegal, Interesting, man. That's my take. That's what I think is the most important. Obviously you have this back and forth where he doesn't show up to the meeting, but we kind of went over that already. And this is the email of them talking about it. And we've already went over. So yeah, I mean, look, like I say, every show, your mileage is going to vary on this stuff, man. You gotta go over what you think is most important and take a look at these documents yourself. Don't just listen to me. I mean, this is, I'm just a regular guy trying to figure it out just like you. But I do find it interesting, the bad blood. The bad blood is a weird gig, and I hope we can learn a little bit more about that down the road. Even if, like I said, even if Grusch doesn't agree with AARO, has bad blood with Sean Kirkpatrick, he needs to go in. He needs to go in. All these whistleblowers, I'll wrap this up on this. All these whistleblowers need to go in. Go talk to them. Well, what's it going to hurt? What's it going to hurt? You can always correct the record later. You can point them out later. Now, so it doesn't mean Grusch is lying also. It just means that this is the kind of situation that we're dealing with here, okay? Let me jump over to the highlighted report here of Kona Blue. Okay, hour 2, boys. I'm going to try to wrap this one up a little bit quicker. Let's try to do this in maybe 30 minutes so that I can get to the AARO or the SCIFF stuff, and then we'll do our SORA video of the week, and we'll kind of get out of here because I got a plug at the end too for a show that's also going on today too for Alien Addicts. So I'm busy today, guys. I'm busy. So Kona Blue, this was the program that was rumored to obviously be stood up. Well, it was rumored to be stood up. I mean, it was rumored that this was the kind of the program that was trying to come after post OSAP, ATIP, whatever you believe on that, whatever. I think it's ATIP's just a nickname for it. If you want my opinion, I don't think they had any money. So sorry, if you hate me for it, you hate me for it. But that's my opinion. So this is kind of they released, the DOD released the DHS, Department of Homeland Security's, the proposal for Kona Blue that came to them. Now, there is a link for this in the description where you guys can go follow along and download this document, take a look at it for yourself, of course. But that's what this program is all about. I highlighted the first page because I want to go over a little bit here on the intro for this, which let me get in here and zoom in. All right. Well, guys, there was so much this week to go over. 2 documents. Good Lord. My brain last night and my eyes were just burnt out of my skull looking at these documents. All right. The Department of Homeland Security, DHS, agrees to provide the Department of Defense, DOD, with documents and relevant information associated with Kona Blue. Kona Blue was a DHS Prospective Special Access Program. That's the PSAP that Grusch was kind of talking about with Senator Harry Reid. The Harry Reid tried to set up with Bigelow. Terminated on February 10th, 2012, the following actions were taken. All DHS documents associated with Kona Blue PSAP are declassified and are approved for public release. So now we're understanding why we got this. The strikeout method was utilized to retain visibility of prior classifications, and redactions were made based on policy and legal review. They're taking their time. All pertinent DHS records have been searched, and no additional information associated with the Kona Blue PSAP has been discovered. So they're kind of just saying, hey, this is everything. This is what we got. Take it or leave it. That's how I'm reading it. But I appreciate your continued cooperation and support with the Department of Homeland Security. Should you wish to discuss this matter further, please do not hesitate to contact me. Sincerely, Christy Kenagalo, Acting Deputy Secretary. I don't know. I don't know her. I don't know Christy. Hopefully Christy's having a good Sunday, huh? Hopefully you guys are having some fun here too. You're learning a little bit. Rotary says, doing well, Matt. Hey, man, thanks, bro. We're going over this thing. We're trying to bring a little bit of fun here. Because I don't know, like there's a couple of channels that I feel have done more deeper dives into this, but not many. A lot of people are kind of just, grabbing the conclusion paragraph and see you later. There's your content. It's like, come on. Let's look at this thing, huh? Let's take a little bit extra time. Let's put a little work in. So declassified by Richard D. McComb, which some people are kind of going back and forth. I know Greenwald did a really interesting interview with Vetted, with Patrick over there, where they talked about how this was weird. It goes from declassified to unclassified, and that's not something you typically see. So it's very interesting. And I see that we're dropping some frames every once in a while, guys. Sorry if it kind of skips around. Not very many, though, 0.3%. But it's more than usual. So if it gets a little stuttery or there's an issue, sorry about that. Doing my best. So let's start right here with the project description, because that just makes sense, What the hell is this project, All right, so in the highlighted area, this project will investigate, identify, and analyze sensitive information, advanced materials, and technologies to increase the basic knowledge of potential, emerging, and/or disruptive scientific and technical data. Sounds cool. This project addresses basic and applied and advanced research and technology demonstrations in order to identify and anticipate threats to the U.S. homeland. A unified approach, and I like how they do that, right, in this proposal. They throw that in there. They say to identify, and a lot of people are speculating, who wrote this report. Probably like, Eric Davis, Hal Puthoff, Lou Elizondo. These are probably the people that stood this thing up or tried to stand it up and put all this together. But I do like how they kind of butter the bread a little bit, and they go, in order to identify and anticipate threats to U.S. homeland. So, hey, Homeland Security, this is why you should perk up your ears and take a look at what we're doing, because the homeland is at risk. It's a good salesman way to do it. It's a good attention getter for them, of course, man. A unified approach will be used for data collection and analysis, advanced technology acquisition, applied technology, theory of demonstration, and consciousness studies. This was, I think, the big section and the big thing that kind of came out with this whole Kona Blue dump here, that consciousness was a big part of this program that they wanted to get involved in. Very interesting. All right. We want to describe the potential outcomes. So they're saying, look, here's what we want to do. Here's what the program's about. Here's what we can get out of it. Okay. Department of Homeland Security, S&T, has the prospect to identify a unique class of scientific and technology threats and opportunities. Achievement of basic research goals will place DHS S&T at the forefront of applied science and opportunities involving advanced technology. So, hey, look, this is why you want to give us the money. We're going to put you guys out in front of everybody. Okay? This is why we need this PSAP. We want to really expand our research in this phenomena, the consciousness aspect, the technology. Who's not interested in the technology? Everybody is. Let's really open this thing up, and you guys get to say, hey, we're involved later on down the road, right? Who were the people that started it, that contributed, at least? And it says customers, partners, DHS components, U.S. government, and private sector. So they do mention private sector here. So it's down the road. Obviously Bass is the contractor, right? I mean, this is Bass got the original OSAP proposal, or they got that program. And so they're saying, hey, look, the partners, Bass. But I'm not referring to just Bass. The reason why I say private sector and I bring that up is because obviously they're private sector and they're involved, but other private sectors, maybe Lockheed Martin, maybe Northrop Grumman, maybe some of these other kind of lore heavy parts of ufology and these other private sector companies. I don't know. We'll have to see. Now, this got a lot of controversy down here. So when we look at the funding, the money, because, the money part is a high contention for a lot of people, and they kind of feel like money is getting wasted. And, we want to make sure that our money is going to something that actually will do something or can help us. And there's just a lot of, money on the mind, which I can understand that. Jeff Garvey says, even lobsters have consciousness. Hey, man. Well, yeah, they supposedly scream when you put them in the pot, right? God, that's morbid. Okay. Listen, back to this. Okay. Back to this. So we look at total funding right here. They kind of break it out. And the cool thing about this document, and look, though, I will mention this, there isn't a need to like really deep dive on some of this stuff, because the document, as I was going through it, it does kind of repeat itself a little bit. And they give like a little bit of an expansion in each section, but it's not groundbreaking. It's not like the FOIA dump from AARO and Grusch and Kirkpatrick. It's not that complex. I wouldn't expect it to be anyways, but it's there. So total funding, fiscal year 12. Now, the reason why fiscal year 12 is important is because this kind of gives us a little bit of an idea of where OSAP ended and how this kind of lined up, right? So this document, I give credit to Greenwald. Greenwald put this out there, and I do agree with him on this. 2011 was most likely when this document was started to be drafted to get this thing together, because OSAP, according to James Lukatsky, kind of lost its money. It was out of money in 2012. They didn't have any more money. They wanted to continue that program. So you look at fiscal year 12 million. Okay, this is total funding. This is in millions. Fiscal year 13, next year, 25 million. So we're really increasing that budget here. Big budget increase. Fiscal year 14, we move up again, 35 to 50 million. Okay. Now I do find it interesting that fiscal year 14 is when they do provide like two numbers, like a maybe kind of thing. Because I feel like if they went from 12 to 25 right to 50, it's like, dude, what is the exponential possibilities of this program for money?
So they're like, oh yeah, it could double again, but well, it might not though. It might only go up 10. I look at it from like a sales perspective, and I go, that's a good way to say, hey, look, I think they think it's going to go to 50, but they don't want to make DHS think that they're going to spend too much money too fast. So it's an interesting way to do it. Okay. And then, fiscal year 15, 16, 17, 18, to be determined, TBD. We don't really know where they're going with it. So if you look at this, which I found kind of interesting, and I wrote the numbers down here on my notes because there's a little kind of a whole group of them, right? So when we take a look at the last 6 years, okay? So if you take a look at from the opening of OSAP 2008 all the way through here, fiscal year 2014, right? You have 6 years time span. All right. The first 3 years, you're looking at 22 million total. OSAP, ATIP, whatever you want to say, 22 million. Then if you look at the whole total altogether for what Kona Blue is asking for in the first 3 years, 82 million, potentially $82 million. We're really pushing the budget here, guys. We're quadding the budget for this time. Now, so the total amount for the last 6 years, when we're talking about Bigelow Aerospace, the money that's coming around Nevada, Harry Reid, $104 million. And that's just the total of the first 6 years of all of this getting started with Bigelow and Harry Reid. It's not a little bit of money, man. It's a lot of money. And when you look at how exponentially it might grow through 15, 16, 17, and 18, there's no real way to know how much that would jump. But if you look at kind of how that's moving, if we want to continue that progression, you're getting close to $500 million, guys. That's a lot of money. And that's a lot more money than the Galileo project, for instance. The Galileo project, I think for the first couple of years, got $2.8, $3 million. So we're talking about a whole lot of cash that's going on here. So I understand when people get kind of weirded out by that much money. I get it. However, if there's something to this and we find that there is a consciousness connection and this stuff starts to come out to be true, I mean, who wouldn't want to dump money at it, right? I want to learn more. You know what I'm saying? I want to learn more. And one other note I'll make too before we kind of move down in this document is the name itself, Kona Blue. Dude, I was digging last night. I thought, no one's ever talked about what the name means. Moody Mongo says, to be honest, it's a teeny tiny amount from the government. Yeah, it is. No, I agree with you in the grand scheme of the government, Moody, 100%. Dude, 100%. But I'm just saying, it's, money's money. But I guess what I mean by that, Moody, to be honest, is for the UFO community, for like these programs like these, that's a lot of cash, right? I guess just when you look at like per capita, the money that may or may not have been spent that we know about per capita, it's a lot. But yeah, for the government, 100 million is, it's peanuts. It's peanuts. They're peasants. It's peasant money. But yeah, just for the overall. But I did, and it's good to see you, Moody. Thanks for coming, brother. Appreciate you. And Gebs as well. Good to see you, my man. I was trying to figure out Kona Blue, right? Because the name is so weird, and I haven't heard anybody really talk about it other than to just make fun of the name. I don't think I came up with a real conclusion of why they would name it that way. I found that Kona in Hawaiian, like a slang, is for lady. And then you got blue, obviously. So lady blue or blue lady. So I went, okay, blue lady. What's going on with that? Let's look that up, right? There's a couple ghost stories that are associated with it. One in South Carolina at a lighthouse at Camp McDougal lighthouse. Supposedly it's like the daughter of the old lighthouse keeper died of a heart attack or whatever, going up to take oil up to the lighthouse. However, I digress. That was there. And then in Southern California, there was another ghost story with the name Blue Lady. So I don't know. I tried to figure it out. I kind of, as I was going through it, I was like, well, somebody probably has been digging at this more than I did, but I gave it a chance. I didn't find anything that really went along with it, except I think Kona also refers to like the dry side of a beach in Hawaii, and there's like a area of Kona that I don't know. I tried to find it. I didn't. I was hoping I could just like break that. Dude, I'll tell you right now, if I would have figured out exactly why they named it that, I would have started this show with that, you know? That would have been some breaking news for your ass right there. You know? So yeah, still nothing to go over as far as Kona Blue is concerned, what the name means or anything like that. I don't know. We don't know. I gotta sip coffee, guys. 1 second. Not for the energy, but geez, just for my throat. I haven't talked this much in years. I used to sell stuff on the phones a long time ago, and I used to talk on the phone for hours every day, 8, 9, 10 hours. It was you guys ever heard of Total Gym? Chuck Norris on the Total Gym? Yeah, I worked at an inbound company where we took inbound phone calls. So people would call the infomercial for Total Gym, and you'd get me on the phone, and I would break the price to you and sell it to you. So my voice used to be really conditioned. Dude, I could talk and talk and talk and talk. And it's been, it's been years since I've been there. So I just noticed that I'm feeling that, where if I was still at that job, dude, I'd be fine right now. My voice wouldn't be bothered a simple bit. All right. What is the research? What does the research need? Okay. So he's asking like why. Essentially, I took it as like, why do we need this research? This research is a congressional interest item. I would agree with that. The research addresses the critical need for the United States science and technology community to identify global, emerging, and or potentially disruptive technologies that can have a significant impact on homeland security. So as you can see, some of this stuff kind of doubles up. That's why I didn't highlight a lot of the same thing again. I tried to only stick with kind of new stuff, or just a little bit more expansion. Based on analytical assumptions and uncertainties, this research is pivotal to defining the impact of global science and technology on the elements for national power and security. The focused collaborations on the knowledge-based deliverables ensure that the department requirements and those of the interagency partners are addressed and provided opportunities for follow-on efforts and additional collaboration on scientific investigations and technological exploitation. Interesting. The department's interest area with the subject project targets is the scientific and technical investigation, threat analysis. There's the threat. Okay. So we're seeing where a lot of this kind of threat narrative may have come around. This is interesting. An assessment of materials and data of unique origin, engineering, and purpose. The knowledge gap this research is addressing is emerging or disruptive materials and technologies that can potentially impact national power and security. National security issue. There you go. This is why they want the research. They think it's a national security issue, which, yeah, I don't disagree that it's a national security issue, man. What is the technical scientific approach? The research addresses the questions of 1, what emergent technologies and applications are potentially harmful to U.S. vital and major interests? And 2, what vulnerabilities and opportunity does any technologies present? Successful concept and principle validation provides strategic, scientific, and technical direction, focus and planning for technological exploitation and solutions, and the strategic planning for countermeasure and mitigation efforts throughout the Homeland Security enterprise. Once again, trying to get to these new technologies. What do they present? Specific methodologies used to assess available material technologies and observations may require nuanced approaches that which will undoubtedly be a significant interest to foreign intelligence service security services. Interesting. For research centers, the data collection, and this kind of starts going into the breakout of how they kind of viewed this program and really just the expansiveness of the nature of the program itself. This is not just OSAP and the OSAP size and Skinwalker Ranch and all of that. This is huge. I mean, we're not talking about, 50 million, 100 million, 200 million potential or more for, hanging out on a ranch out there. That's not what we're talking about. 4 research centers, which was actually more than that when they really break it down. The Data Collection and Analysis Center, the Advanced Technology Center, the Consciousness Center, and the Technology Application Center will, so they're just talking about these 4 research centers in response to the technical and scientific approach. So they're just saying, hey, these are the ones that are specifically going to take a look at the science and technology approach, okay? Or science and, technology approach. We'll investigate, this is what they're going to do, guys, okay? We'll investigate and inventory available information and materials, interesting. Investigate emerging and or disruptive advanced materials and controls, alternative energy, are we talking 0 point there, huh? Power source, generation opportunities, talking about free energy. Temporal translation. Oh my God, boys. Temporal translation. All right. Time translation. Human effects and interface, signature reduction and weaponry, as well as technology integration. So how are they going to be able to integrate this stuff in the new technology? Woo, it's heavy. There's some interesting stuff here. Okay. What are the anticipated results and value of this research? This research is pivotal to identifying the source and substance of associated material and assessments of previous investigatory U.S. government programs, and to identify and define the impact of the unique science and technology applications on Homeland Security. The exploratory research provides opportunity to increase our basic knowledge of a science or phenomenology. There we go. We're getting it in there. This effort provides the potential to influence technological solutions and strategies to sustain the elements of national power and homeland security. So saying, look, man, we gotta get to the bottom of this. This can provide a lot of boost to our national security, a lot of boost to our technology, what we're able to create, and also, as they'll get into a little bit early, what we're able to maybe get for intel from our potential enemies. Remote viewing. There's use of that throughout this document as well. The remote viewing thing does come up. Success of this research is predicated on a scientific investigation and assessments of available material. Continuity of effort can generate actionable, which is interesting they put the quotes on that, follow-on research contributing to continuing discovery, research investments, possible countermeasure technology, and U.S. government policy development. So they're saying, look, this is gonna change how we even look at policy. This is what we're trying to get at. And then finally, what is innovative about this work? All right, this knowledge-based research addresses the analytical assumptions and uncertainties of emerging and disruptive technologies of material that could potentially threaten vital and major U.S. interests, such as the security of land, air, and sea borders, and citizens or critical infrastructure of economic resource. Okay. The potential also exists that outcomes and follow-on research and evaluation efforts will provide the U.S. with a unique ability to increase any of the elements, whether that be political, economic, military, moral, psychosocial, social cohesion of national power, as well as enhancing national security and developing resilience to disruptive technology potential. Let me read that again, guys, okay? As well as enhancing national security and developing resilience to disruptive technology potential. Interesting. How do we protect ourselves more from what do these other countries have? Has anybody else figured? Does anybody else know what's going on with this stuff? All right. And okay, so we're an hour and 25 minutes on this thing. So as you can see, they're going to go over, what the next steps are. They kind of go over the process of how they feel they're going to go through that. This was interesting. It says Advanced Threat Identification Program, first sponsored in 2008. A lot of people have made claims that this proves that, ATIP, it was ATIP and Lou ran it. But I think Greenwald made a pretty good point. I don't have the tweet on it, but where he goes, look, even in Kona Blue, we have yet again another name variation. Advanced Threat Identification Program. It's not Advanced Aerial Threat Identification Program. So maybe it's a typo. I don't know. But once again, you have another contradictory statement, kind of odd. And I once again grabbed this because my brain is slowly frying from staring at these white pages here. Let me get to some other stuff. All right.
let me see if I want to go over this. Access, advanced technology threat, access recovered advanced technology and earlier assessment to determine the capability. We kind of went through that with what we read. I did think this was interesting right here for you guys. This is Integration Center, focal point for the integration of information and data from the other centers in report writing, follow-up on basic and applied research proposals and efforts to be identified. That sounded a lot like that Presidential Advisory Board for the NDAA. Remember that? When they wanted to put together, or excuse me, the archivist from the NDAA, where they wanted to kind of pool everything together that they were bringing in. So that's interesting because a lot of people, mention that they think that Elizondo and a lot of these guys also worked on the language for the NDAA from last year. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. You do see like these little, albeit it's a small congruence, but it's there. I noticed it and I typed it down there. So I'm going to go over that. Interesting. It's food for thought, man. Look, that's all you can really do with a lot of this stuff, guys. This is a proposal. In my opinion, this program was never stood up. DHS says it was never stood up. DOD says it was never stood up. I can't disagree with that. There's a lot of people that argue that Kona Blue is a cover for, it's like it was used, this is being used as like a smoke screen. That's why this was released by Kirkpatrick and AARO to say, hey, look at this Kona Blue program. This is here. And it's not real. That all these whistleblowers we're having people talk to us about Kona Blue and it's not here. So it's like a straw man essentially. Maybe straw man is not the right word, but it's a front to say, don't look at any of these other programs because Kona Blue is not real. None of these other programs could be real either. It's an interesting take. And yeah, you see the breakdown. They kind of break down the access, DHS, and then it goes down the company. And I'm assuming that's going to be, BASS. And then I don't know who this next company would be. This is weird. And then it goes into Advanced Tech Center, Consciousness Center. And so they give you a flow chart of kind of how like the authorities flow through this, which is pretty interesting. If you guys want to take a second and go through that. But the last thing I think that I'll go through on this, because I do want to make time for the AARO SCIFF, okay, is the key kind of overall key program objectives and milestones for each of the centers. So these are the centers that are being proposed here. So these are this is when I spoke about earlier how much bigger of a program this would be than OSAP. Here is why, okay? So number one, Data Collection Center, Data Analysis Center is the second center, Advanced Technology Center, Experimental Centers, Consciousness Center, very cool. Can I go to the Consciousness Center? Medical Center, Education Center, okay? And so when we look at the Data Collection Center, what are we talking about? Develop internet-based sites for advanced aerospace vehicle reporting. Expand existing data warehouse 200,000 reports. Let me zoom in one time for you guys here on this, okay? I want to make sure you guys can really see what we're going over here because it was even kind of hard for me. Deploy in-house investigators on select cases, operate liaison center for cooperation with state, local, tribal police, and FBI. All right. So they're really trying to create that archivist situation where they're trying to pull it all together. Data Analysis Center. How you doing, Tony? Good to see you, brother. Thanks for coming. Data Analysis Center, Coordination Center, a hub for all other centers. Maintain in-house technical, computational, and laboratory facilities capable of physics, chemistry, biology, and engineering. So it's not just like some servers they're trying to store data on, guys. They're trying to get in and put some labs together, They're trying to get the beakers out over here at Kona Blue. Trying to get, create a couple of those, the big 2-liter bottles of water and you spin it and you get the tornado between the two. They're trying to do some tornadoes. I'm just kidding. Come on. I'm just kidding. Advanced Technology Center. I always say that word wrong at the start. I always want to say technological every time, but it's Technology Center. Analyze recovered technology in collaboration with major aerospace and electronics companies. So getting out there and working with the major companies. Set up protocols for obtaining access to materials newly required. Now, I want to stop at this part here. Set up protocols for obtaining access to materials newly acquired. So I think, well, two things I want to mention with this. So a big reason of why they wanted this to be, Harry Reid and Bigelow wanted this to be a peace app, was because the rumor is that Lockheed Martin wanted to divulge itself, I believe David Grusch mentioned this, of a craft, at the very least material. And they wouldn't do that without a program like Kona Blue set up. And so when they say set up protocols for obtaining access to materials newly acquired, that's what I think that they're referencing here. Now, the one thing that I thought was really interesting, what did you just say? Everybody calm down, just a fan. I haven't been looking at too much of chat. So at first, Tony, you made me think people were fighting, and I'm like, oh no. As I went through this document, this is like, 56 pages, okay? I didn't see anything about a crash retrieval team. And I thought that was very weird. Because if you believe that there's been crashes and that there's potential for more, and you want to start this program that's not only going to analyze this material, but wouldn't you want to put together a crash retrieval team? Someone to get out there first so that you wouldn't have maybe Lockheed beating you to get in the material? I don't know. I couldn't find it. If it's buried somewhere and I overlooked it, then I overlooked it. But when I look at setup protocols for obtaining access to materials newly acquired, that's when it rang a bell for me as like, okay, where's your crash retrieval team? Operating assessment team consisting of the best scientists and engineers available to the government. So yeah, get everybody in there. Collect retirees' oral histories on recovered technology and present location. So they really want to get the full story of not only the present, but the past. They want to try to link all that together. And this kind of just breaks it down and goes through each of those a little bit further. You know, the medical center, study physiological and psychological effects of interaction with vehicles, anomalous phenomena. You know, so anybody that's been hurt, you know, Jim Peniston, Rendlesham Forest, put his hand on the craft. You know, he had troubles, stuff like that. You know, you hear about those kind of stories in the past, or even, you know, Phil Schneider, if you believe what went on there, where he got shot by that laser. He said, it gutted me like a fish. He goes, they are mortal and they die. I love that, man. It's so funny. Education Center, develop volunteer corps to support the collection efforts of the Data Collection Center. Continue to maintain the world's largest libraries on advanced aerospace vehicles and associated phenomena. So yeah, they want to be the records. What was it? I can't think of the name right now, but they want to be the big library there. Jurisdiction for need. Remote vision, remote communication. There you go. And rematerialization techniques to observe, communicate, retrieve data, transfer matter across dimensional. Dude, I had to stop for a second. Across dimensional and space-time barriers. Holy. Will undoubtedly be of an utmost interest, if not a top collection priority for the adversarial intelligence security services. Countermeasures against such techniques would also be a collection priority. Wow. So they want to know how people are covering stuff up, right? Recovered AAV technology exists in and is accessible only within a SAP construct. So recovered advanced aerial vehicles. I believe that's what AAV stands for, guys. Guys and girls. You know, not playing favorites. Remember that in The Office? He goes, not playing favorites. Recovered AA vehicles technology exists in and is accessible only within a SAP construct. So what we talked about earlier, you know, they need this SAP to get this technology, to get something from Lockheed. Lockheed doesn't want to just throw it out there to any, you know, Tom, Dick, and Harry, as the sign, as the saying goes. And yeah, there's a lot of here. We're at hour 35 though, so this is kind of just goes over the extra stuff. We already went over that. Let me just double check that there's anything else that I think really stands out that I want to go over now and not just kind of leave you guys to it. I feel like you've gotten a really good gist of what this program is, right? I think you have. I'm assuming, okay?
I wanted you guys to go away knowing, look, there's a lot of money involved. This was a big program that they tried to stand up. Who was involved with that program? Why is this here? What are they doing? You know, why did we learn this about this? I think we've kind of landed the plane on that. I just wanted to make sure if there was anything else. Oh, yeah. Like I mentioned, there was some remote viewing stuff. So Consciousness Center was also, the Consciousness Center manages the acquisition, training, and utilization of remote viewers and communicators. Pretty interesting stuff, man. They didn't pull any punches in this report or in this proposal. They came right out and said, hey, look, this is what we're doing. Remote viewing, AAVs, we want it all, man. This I kind of thought was a little bit strange. So these were like the meetings, I guess, that they set up on it. 6/10/2021, and the attendance. We don't get the attendees. But these were all like the meetings that were at the very minimal set up. Pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. Let me just go through the last little bit. Lot of stuff, guys. As you can see, boy, oh boy, I had so much thrown on my lap this week. And it's like, I can't read this one time and understand it either. That's what sucks. Like if I could, it would be so much easier. And of course, if you do want a background history of what happened with ATIP and how all that kind of got started with OSAP and them, page 43 here out of 46, this is where you're going to go. So that's Kona Blue. That's the kind of the breakdown I want to go over for that. We got about 25 minutes left, huh? Okay, now let's do this. I'm going to go a little bit backwards on what I said. So we've had a lot of our vegetables here. We've eaten our vegetables, okay? Let's get a little bit of dessert. All right, let's go to our Sora video of the week really fast. It's about, a minute and a half long. I can't play the audio for this, guys, but this is actually pretty cool here. So it's a Sora AI. This is from Min Choi. This guy is the god here at bringing us these videos. So Sora AI and artist collaboration is wild. An OpenAI team dropped more new Sora videos. Exclusive TED Talks video by Paul Trujillo and OpenAI Sora. So I guess there is a lot of collaboration too, which makes sense because this video, I mean, this is nuts if this is how this is going to go here. If this was only AI, holy. But I think we got a little bit of a collaboration here. So here you go. Because the detail here is just, once again, it's incredible. But I think, I can't do the audio. You guys are going to get me killed. I look at this and I think that this is actual footage though. I think that this is actual footage. I always like to try to stop this stuff and give you guys examples of what I think. Where you look at this room of people, right? The stuff that's up and around these areas of movement, it's possible that this is a setup shot. I don't know if it is though. It's possible that it is, and this is all a green screen around them here in this room. They could have got all these people together, and the AI, they had the AI fill in that background. So that's how we're getting the ceiling. That's how we're getting the reflections. So the floor and the people sitting here, it might be real footage, and it's just enhanced, if that makes sense. So there's a Sora video of the week. They keep getting better, huh? They keep getting better. Every week I kind of worry. I'm like, how am I supposed to bring another one of these videos? Because like they keep getting better, man. And I'm wondering, is it going to stop on me and I'm going to not have one to give you guys? All right. So 18 minutes and we're going to get out of here, guys, because I got another 2 hours to do after this. I get a little bit of a break in between. Oh, like an hour break, and I want to go walk around outside and get up because I've been sitting here. Moskowitz could not make this week's AARO SCIFF briefing. After Askapol informed him of Burleson's response to the AARO SCIFF briefing, Moskowitz was perplexed. I'm going to talk to him. So shout out to Askapol on this. If you guys, once again, every week, if you're not following him, I think this is the most underrated guy in all of UFO Twitter at the very least. Everyone needs to go follow him. This guy's boots on the ground. He's talking to Congress. He's been progressive, looking to kind of move the topic forward and get us some real answers from these people, from these congressmen. Huge. Because I think this is, once again, the avenue that's most important right now. So he's gonna talk to him because Burleson was not, after the SCIFF hearing, Burleson was not amused by it. To him, his skeptical nature that he had from the start. He'll tell you here in a second. I'm trying to find the clip That's actually the clip that I want to show here for it. There's clips so we can go right to Ask Paul Ford if we want to, but I thought we had it when it was him standing up. Maybe I was just thinking it was him, but maybe it's not. So we'll click here, and we'll play. We'll play a little bit of clip here. This is Rep Burleson, Eric Burleson. This guy's been pretty straight. He's been pretty straight down the path of trying to figure out what's going on, not playing sides, and you got to respect that. And so this is what he said about, this was kind of his reaction.
My worldview has been very skeptical that this is extraterrestrial, and that remains. There's nothing that I learned today that, in fact, probably more validated today.
So he's saying is essentially that the claims of extraterrestrial, he's just as skeptical as ever, if not more, after the SCIFF. So he doesn't feel that, it really did much for him. And I know the sound on that was pretty low. Let me see if the other clip here is better. Maybe this clip's a little louder for us. And I'm going to get ready because I don't want to blow your guys' eardrums on it. One second.
How'd it go?
Yeah, how'd it go?
I think that you have people that there to serve the country. I was surprised at their.
Oh wait, no, this isn't the clip. This is something else. I got to back up on this one, guys. Forgive me. Oh man, I don't know. I thought I had a better clip of him talking that was louder. Maybe I don't, but that's the gist of it. The gist of it is he's not. He didn't walk out of there feeling any different, feeling much more. In fact, he came out more skeptical. Okay, land the plane on it, Matt, will you? Okay, you already said that. You said it 4 times. Okay, and so that's why when you jump over to Moskowitz here, he says, I'm going to talk to him. He wasn't there for it. So he's a little bit confused. He's kind of like, oh man, I figured we were going to learn a little bit more about this. And I figured that Burleson would have been more on team Alien or team NHI or what have you. But that's not the case. And the reason why I say there's a little bit of mixed review on that, because when we look at Tim Burchett, who is also, we'll go over this first. We'll go to Burchett in a second. But this is Rep Scott Perry. This is a mixed review here. This is what he thinks. All right, let me get this up here.
If they have information they're not going to tell us, they either don't know or it's so complicated, the process by which the information could be available is not going to be available. We can't even find out who is allowed to know. We can't find out if members of Congress are allowed to know, what it takes to let them know.
So that's what's weird to me is like, why does he feel, you get the reaction from him is so different. He's like, look, I'm not getting any information to push me either way on this thing. So I wonder, obviously we'll never really know because the SCIFF stuff is classified, but I really wonder what part of the presentation that David Abba gave to the caucus here, what really changed his mind? What pushed him more towards skepticism? I don't know.
What citizens are allowed to know, which ones, who. We can't even find out that, let alone the information that might or might not be available. Or
so he's just saying, look, we're not even getting the information on that. It's mixed. It's very weird. That's why I say I think over the next, a few weeks or at the very least next few months, it'll be interesting to see where Burleson goes. It'll be interesting to see where either he changes his mind on some of this and starts kind of pushing less and gets maybe distracted. Look, there's so many things that are going on for these guys. Potential World War III and the election and everything's just kind of on fire. So I'd be a liar if I didn't say that I think that their attention to this, even people like Luna and Burchett, it's very fragile. I feel like at any moment they could just decide, look, we just have other things to deal with, and that they could just drop it, which is pretty insane. It's somewhat understandable, right? But I don't know. Where does the progression go at that point? We don't have whistleblowers that are really pulling, full Snowden, so we don't have anything moving with that. AARO and everything that's going on with them, we're not really getting anything from them. And then at least progression wise, right, on the topic. And then we kind of have this Congress in the middle, and they're just the little engine that's still shoving. If they go away, oh boy, we're talking 2016 world again, huh? This is UAP Caucus co-chairs Lunar and Burchett. This is them talking on the post-SCIFF briefing, saying nothing burger. Let's get their opinions on it, huh?
Back to your office? Or what?
Back to my office.
See? Told you I was going to beat him up there.
And he's hightail and he's like, get me out of here.
Nothing?
Ask her.
It was literally, it was a nothing burger.
Really?
Yes.
It was a nothing burger. And she kind of laughs about it too, which, is that a sign of something, do you guys think? You think they're just kind of like getting jaded by all this at this point? Maybe.
Now, how do you guys, what's the next step?
There's no reason any of that stuff was told in the SCIFF.
Yeah.
Now, Burchett just says there's no, Askapol, Laszlo asks him, what's the next step? And Burchett chimes in and says there's no reason that stuff should be told to us in a SCIFF. Okay? Now, if we hear that, that also makes me kind of wonder. Now, if Burleson is losing some hope here and he's getting a little bit more skepticism, if there's nothing really that's significant coming from AARO, coming from this briefing, what is making him, what is changing his tune so much? I would assume if it was something was going to change his tune, it would be something classified, right? It would be a big deal. It would be AARO coming in and saying, look, hey, here's the program that we've been working on with these drones. They're wild, this technology, right? We're not getting that. So that's why I say this is very weird. It's a mixed bag.
Other than let's not talk about it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Now
literally.
you
Just,
can't
it
talk
was a
about
nothing burger.
Have any of you been able to look at that Kona Blue declassified?
I just saw it just today. I haven't looked at it.
Yeah.
I have to check it out.
So as we know now, too, as of the 17th, they haven't looked at Kona Blue yet. So they're busy, man. They're busy.
Do you guys feel like AARO's delivering on their congressional mandate?
Uh-oh.
Disinformation.
He asked Burchett, do you feel like AARO is delivering on its congressional mandate? And Burchett says, disinformation?
I mean, if you guys funded them, started them 2 years ago, before some of y'all were here, you guys ultimately are their bosses.
It's tucked into another bill. It wasn't what we had. I mean, it wasn't
Yeah.
individually funded.
What do you make of their senior technical advisory board?
I don't
I
think
think-
anything of anything.
Yeah.
Because
He doesn't like anything of anything. Okay, this is a long clip. I won't play the whole thing, but that's kind of the way that they felt about it, right? Nothing burger, didn't need to be in a SCIFF, don't know what we're doing here. And I know that there's a lot of argument that they don't have the clearances. That's why they got to get that select committee, man. That's a big deal. That's a real big deal. All right. I think that's kind of like the biggest thing is we got Burleson in there, we got Moskowitz in there, Luna, Burchett. These are the big names that people know. And so I guess we got those reactions there from the SCIFF. So nothing really to report. We know that there's another field hearing coming. Grothman talked about that. Representative Grothman. We don't know exactly when that's coming yet. So hopefully soon. And I did want to, see, we had the Burchett right here. Damn it. I knew we did. Let's play this 20 seconds of him really quick. We got 10 minutes. Play this. Come on. Why is my mouse being weird?
my expectations are very, very low. We're just like a rat chasing our tail. We're told time and time again, this is the one that's going to happen. And of course it's not. It's absolutely not. And two of these folks.
We're a cat chasing its tail every time we're told this is going to be the one, and it's not. he's getting to be jaded, man, for sure, right?
Have been putting out that we are just it's a bunch of false information. Yet they spend tens of millions of dollars. My expectation.
He's just saying, look, I mean, they're spending all this money on it. There's nothing here. Why are we spending all the money? I agree. What's going on? You know? Money matters, dude. Money matters, man. It's a lot that they're spending. I mean, how many trillion were just spent or that have been lost from the budget again. Dude, it's crazy. But he does seem jaded. He seems like he's getting tired of it. He seems like he's starting to believe, and this is my total opinion, he's starting to feel like he's never going to get anywhere. He's just really never going to get anywhere with this. And this is why I question, what's going to happen here in the coming months. I don't know. For me, it'll be a real letdown if these guys decide to kind of turn around on this thing and stop pushing and stop looking. It'll be a letdown. But I'm not going after Burleson or Burchett or Luna. I mean, look, man, these people have their own lives. They have their own responsibilities. If they find that they don't want to do it anymore, I mean, how can you can't force them. It sucks. But you shouldn't give these guys crap about it. It's everybody has the right to their own feelings, their own opinions, and what they're doing with their time. And so I see people kind of going after Burleson already. You can see it on Twitter, and I don't agree with it, man. Go with the facts, hope for the best, and that's probably all you can really, rationally do with this at this point. Last thing I'll say here, because we're right at the 2-hour mark, and thank you guys for hanging, man. Oh my goodness, dude, this is a lot of work to go through this stuff. So, you guys hanging out and going through this with me makes it worth it. Where is the clip? Where is the bookmark that I made about the dog fighting, the dog fights? Here it is. AI is now dog fighting with fighter pilots in the air. How about that, huh? Last year, you guys aren't going to be able to see that. Just the first paragraph here, okay? It's pretty cool. Last year, the uniquely modified F-16 test jet, known as the X-62A, flying in fully autonomous mode. AI took part in a first-of-its-kind dogfight against a crewed F-16, the U.S. military has announced. This breakthrough test flight, during which a pilot was in the X-62A's cockpit as a failsafe. So, which is smart because, this is still developing technology. It's still coming around. So they do have a pilot in there just in case they lose control and it doesn't go through somebody's roof. Was the culmination of a series of milestones that led 2023 to be the year that made machine learning a reality in the air, according to one official. How about that, huh? 2023 is the year machine learning is a reality in the air. Keep an eye on this AI stuff, guys. Quantum computing, put it together with this stuff. Oh my God. Yeah, the potential is damn near endless. And so I'm going to keep an eye out for you as well. But when you're in your comings and goings around the internets, pay attention. This very well could be, it's my leading hypothesis on what we could be dealing with the phenomenon. We could be dealing with a future AI enhanced either civilization that's been here and took access to it, or it's been able to work with our physics and crack gravity. It's pretty crazy. And, I think I hear people laugh about that. I see it out there where they're like, this AI stuff, it's never going to get there. Look, man, would you have thought you would see an article about AI dogfighting with our pilots last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Never would have seen this coming. Never. So keep an eye out. Keep an eye out. Very, very cool. Yeah, but I think that's going to do it, man, for me. I do want to put in chat before you guys go anywhere. Don't go anywhere, okay? I'm going to go full screen. And of course, my lighting changes as the episode goes because I got my window cracked here in front of me. Letting that light in. You got to let that light in, huh? I want to put in the chat, don't forget, after this at 4 p.m. Eastern, and I believe that is 9 p.m. GMT, I'm going to link this in chat for you guys. This is the link for Alien Addict, okay? I'm going to be on there with them, And I'm not sure exactly what the show's about. I know they're making a special announcement about the conspiracy mothership and the future of that. So I'm sure we're going to be talking about conspiracies, things like that. We'll probably mix some alien stuff in there, but it should be really cool, man. And it's been a couple of weeks since I've been able to talk to those guys on like a pod. So it's very cool to come back and take part in that with them. So please do show up. Please don't miss it. Going to be a lot of fun. Before I go, I want to thank everybody in chat. Obviously, you guys are, man, you guys have the chat moving today. Okay. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. Especially subscribe and like. I don't know. People say like is more important than sub. However, if you want my opinion, I want the like because it helps move in the algorithm. But the sub means a lot too, man. The more subs that we get, it gives us access to more interviews, man. So that's really big. If you guys are enjoying the interviews, I do too. Let's get some more of them. Subscribe if you can. It's free to do so. Thank you, Tim G. He was first in the chat. John Stokes, obviously, diehard, always been a ride or die. Cosmic Twilight Nick as well. Rotary Motion, good to see you guys. Going down the way. I got to figure out a way to pop your guys' chat on the stream. I just haven't yet, man. I just haven't. I've just been so dug into trying to figure out all these shows every week and bring you guys the best content that I'm able to do, you know? And I hope I keep getting better at it. Gabs, Jeff Garvey, Moody, always good to see you. I don't want to leave you guys out, man, because you guys are here every time. Jeff Garvey, good to see you. Tony, Paula Faust was in here for a little bit. Anthony Jones, I missed you, but he says we will never get disclosure out of a voting box. Interesting enough. I respect everybody's take, and I think that's how active our chat was today. So don't forget, Alien Attic, 4 Eastern, 9 GMT. We're gonna go after it. We're gonna have a little bit of fun, and we'll see you guys next week, Sunday, on Terrestrial Material. Thanks for coming. Have a great rest of your Sunday, guys. See you later. Maybe I'll get the right music at one point, huh? Maybe I'll get the right exit music. There it is. See you guys later.